One of the most powerful signs that a woman is protected by God is her gift of discernment. Discernment is not just intelligence, and it's not merely intuition. Or it is a spiritual sensitivity, a God-given ability to recognize what lies beneath the surface. Where most people see charm, she sees manipulation. Where others hear flattery, she hears deception. And when the crowd gets blinded by appearances, she sees the truth clearly. Evil people thrive in darkness, for they succeed when others can't recognize their intentions. They hide behind masks of kindness, generosity, or even false spirituality before. But a woman covered by God carries a light so sharp that it cuts through the disguise. For this is why discernment is her shield. It exposes danger before it gets too close. Think about it. How many times have you met someone who looked perfect on the outside, well-spoken, polite, maybe even impressive, but something inside of you whispered, something's off here? That's not paranoia. That's discernment. It's God's way of telling you, don't ignore the signs, or pay attention. And the woman under divine protection listens to that voice. Evil people fear this type of woman because they can't manipulate her, or their games don't work before. Their lies don't land. Their traps are seen before they're set. While others may be drawn in by smooth words, she keeps her distance. While others are fooled by fake intentions, she refuses to engage. That's why discernment is more than wisdom. It's a shield. And here's the truth before. Discernment doesn't always make her the most popular person. Or sometimes people say she's too cautious or too suspicious. But what they don't see is how many battles she has avoided, or how many betrayals she has sidestepped, and how many scars she's been spared because she trusted her God-given ability to see deeper. Before, when God protects a woman with discernment, she becomes unshakable. She doesn't get swept up in emotions or pressure. She doesn't fall for empty promises. She doesn't confuse attention with love or noise with value. Before, she knows the difference between someone who is for her and someone who is against her, even when the world hasn't figured it out yet. Before, this kind of discernment shows up in every area of her life. In relationships, it keeps her from being trapped in toxic love or destructive friendships. In business, it helps her sense which opportunities are real and which are scams. In everyday decisions, it warns her when to step forward and when to walk away. And every time she listens, she strengthens the shield God has given her. Here's what's even more powerful. Discernment is not just protection from danger. It's also guidance toward destiny. Because every time she avoids the wrong people before, she makes room for the right ones. Every time she rejects manipulation, she creates space for genuine connection. Every time she walks away from evil, she walks closer toward purpose. So when you see a woman who seems to just know things before they unfold, who doesn't get trapped in webs of deceit, who keeps her peace even when surrounded by questionable people, don't mistake it for luck. It's divine protection. It's the Spirit of God covering her through discernment. That's why discernment is her shield. It doesn't mean she will never face attacks, but it does mean she will see them coming and she will not be destroyed. Because when God protects a woman, no enemy can outsmart her. Her peace is unshakable because it does not come from people, circumstances, or possessions. It comes from a higher source. A divine covering that surrounds her life, the world around her may shake, storms may rise, and people may plot against her, but she stands still, calm, and centered. This kind of peace cannot be explained by logic alone, for it is the kind of peace that Scripture calls beyond understanding, the type that protects the heart and mind even when everything external seems to be falling apart. For evil people thrive on drama, confusion, and fear. They survive by creating storms in other people's lives. But when they face a woman who refuses to lose her calm, their power is broken. Her peace frustrates the enemy because it cannot be taken away. When you encounter someone whose peace is unshakable, you can see it in the way she responds to pressure. She does not panic at the first sign of betrayal. She does not collapse when plans fail. She does not waste time chasing revenge or explaining herself to everyone. Instead, she carries herself with grace, almost as if she knew ahead of time that no matter what, she would be okay. That confidence does not come from arrogance. It comes from trust. She trusts that God is in control even when she cannot control the situation. That trust creates stability, and stability creates peace. Evil people will try to test that peace. They may spread lies, trying to destroy her reputation. They may betray her trust, hoping to break her spirit. Before, they may even set traps to isolate her. But no matter what they attempt, they discover that nothing works. She refuses to let bitterness enter her heart. 4. She refuses to let fear dictate her choices. She refuses to let negativity take away her inner calm. That refusal is not weakness. It is strength. 4. It is the strength that comes from knowing that peace is a gift from God, not something anyone can steal. Her unshakable peace is also her weapon. When others expect her to break down, she stands tall. When they wait for her to cry endlessly, she wipes her tears and moves forward. When they try to provoke her into anger, she responds with composure. That composure disarms evil because evil cannot control what it cannot disturb. Peace is more powerful than rage, more powerful than revenge, and more powerful than fear. That is why her calm presence unsettles those who wish her harm. They cannot figure out why she is not destroyed by what was meant to destroy her. There is a reason storms in life do not shake her the way they shake others. 4. It is because she knows storms do not last forever. She has learned that pain has an expiration date, that betrayal is temporary, and in that setbacks are often setups for comebacks. With that knowledge, she chooses peace over panic. She knows that carrying stress will not speed up the solution, but staying calm will help her see the solution more clearly. Peace gives her clarity, and clarity gives her the power to make the right moves. This kind of peace is contagious. When she walks into a room, people feel it. Her family feels safe around her. Her friends lean on her strength. Even strangers can sense that she carries something different. Evil people may come near her, but even they recognize something is protecting her. They see that no matter how much negativity they throw her way, she does not crumble. And soon, they realize that attacking her is not just fighting her. It is fighting the God who gives her that unshakable peace. In the end, her peace becomes her testimony. It is the evidence that God's hand is over her life. It shows the world that storms will rise, enemies will plot, and trials will come, but none of them will succeed in destroying her. Because when God gives peace, it is not fragile, it is not temporary, and it is not negotiable. It is unshakable. And when her peace is unshakable, her protection is undeniable. There's something you need to understand about a woman who is covered by God. She does not stumble into every trap laid before her. Evil people are smart. They plan, they manipulate, they create situations designed to pull others down. They set emotional traps, financial traps, social traps, even spiritual traps. Before, they'll gossip behind your back. They'll create fake friendships. They'll promise things they never intend to deliver just to watch you fall. But when God is protecting a woman, she doesn't fall into those schemes the way others do. Somehow, right before the net closes, she takes a different step, makes a different decision, and avoids the downfall that was meant to destroy her. People call it luck, but it's not luck, it's divine strategy. Think about it. Before, traps are designed to be invisible. You don't see them until it's too late. And yet, this woman seems to have a sixth sense. 4, she'll say no to the wrong invitation, even if it looks attractive on the surface. She'll walk away from the wrong conversation. 4, even if it feels harmless at the time. She'll decline the wrong opportunity, even when others say, before, you're crazy for passing that up. What people don't realize is that every time she says no, she is escaping something that was never meant for her. 4, that's not weakness. That's wisdom wrapped in divine protection. Have you ever seen how predators operate in the wild? They don't attack directly. They wait. Before, they stalk, they set traps knowing the prey won't notice until it's caught. Evil people work the same way. They wait for the right moment, before the right vulnerability, the right opening. But here's the difference. When God is with her, before, the very trap that was set for her becomes the place where her enemies are exposed. She doesn't just escape, she reveals their intentions without even trying. Before, it's almost as if her life forces the schemes of others to unravel. And the best part, she doesn't have to fight dirty. She doesn't have to play games. Before, she doesn't have to waste her energy chasing rumors or proving her innocence. All she has to do is keep walking in alignment with God's voice. Before, and he reroutes her path away from destruction. Every closed door becomes protection. Every sudden delay becomes a shield. Every betrayal becomes redirection. Before, what looked like rejection to the world was actually God's hand pulling her out of danger. That's why you can't underestimate a woman who listens to God. Before, she doesn't need to see every detail. She just needs to obey the small nudges in her spirit. Don't go there. Don't trust that person. Don't sign that deal. Before, don't say yes to that relationship. To the outside world, those choices look strange, even foolish. But to her, they are survival instincts gifted from above. She knows that the wrong yes can cost her peace, her purpose, even her life. And she would rather disappoint people than disappoint the one who protects her. Here's the truth. When a woman is shielded by God, no trap can hold her. People can whisper, people can plot, people can plan. But at the end of the day, she always walks away untouched because the traps were never stronger than her covering. What was meant to harm her only strengthens her before. What was designed to stop her only makes her sharper. And every time she escapes, she becomes living proof that when God is on your side, no enemy has the power to write your story. That is the kind of protection you cannot buy, cannot fake, and cannot break. Her worth cannot be stolen before, because her identity is not built on fragile things that the world can take away. She doesn't measure her value by the likes on her photos, the attention in a room for the approval of people who come and go. She knows that all of those things are temporary, inconsistent, and unreliable. A woman who is truly protected by God stands on a foundation that no one can shake because her worth comes from the one who created her. You can strip away her titles, her possessions, even her reputation in the eyes of some, but you cannot take away the truth of who she is in God's eyes. And when a woman understands that, she becomes untouchable to the schemes of evil people. Evil people thrive on control. They manipulate, deceive, and attack because they want to break confidence. They want to lower someone's self-esteem because when they succeed at that, they gain power. But here's the reality. When a woman is anchored in God, she doesn't give them that access. She doesn't hand over her self-worth like a bargaining chip. She doesn't need to prove herself to anyone because she already knows she is enough. Evil people can whisper lies. They can spread rumors. They can try to paint her in the darkest colors, but they can't erase the truth God has spoken over her life. That kind of inner strength confuses people who operate in manipulation. They're used to finding someone's insecurity and pressing on it until the person breaks. But with her, it doesn't work. She may feel pain, yes. She may even shed tears when betrayed or disrespected. But tears are not weakness. They are cleansing. Once she rises again, she rises stronger because she knows her worth is not in the hands of people who betrayed her. It never was. It has always been secured by God. And no amount of evil can reach high enough to touch that. Think about it. Diamonds remain diamonds, whether someone throws mud on them or places them in a crown. Their value doesn't change because of how people treat them. A woman whose worth is anchored in God is like that diamond. She may walk through seasons where others don't recognize her value. She may face rejection, criticism, or envy. But those things don't change her worth. They only reveal it. Because the truth is, sometimes God allows certain people to mistreat you, not to break you, but to show you that your worth was never supposed to come from them in the first place. This is why evil people fail against her. They think they're tearing her down, but in reality, they're building her testimony. They think they're devaluing her but they're proving that her value can't be touched. Her confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment with God's truth. When she looks in the mirror, she doesn't just see her flaws, her scars, or her past mistakes. She sees a woman created with intention, chosen with purpose, and protected with favor. That is why she can walk boldly even when others try to diminish her. She knows she is clothed with dignity and strength, and no one can strip that away. And here's the most powerful part: when a woman knows her worth, she doesn't just protect herself. She inspires others. Her daughters, her sisters, her friends, people around her begin to rise because they see her example. Evil people may have tried to silence her, but instead, God uses her as a voice for many. And once a woman understands that her worth is unshakable, her presence itself becomes a threat to evil. She doesn't even need to fight back. Her existence is a living reminder that when God defines you, no one can redefine you. Her worth cannot be stolen because it was never for sale. It was given by God, sealed with his love and guarded by his power. And when you walk in that kind of worth, you don't fear evil. You overcome it simply by being who God made you to be. Her voice carries authority because it is not just sound coming from her lips, it is conviction flowing from her soul. When she speaks, it feels different. People stop, even if only for a moment, to listen. Some can't explain why, but they feel it. The truth is, her authority is not built on loudness, nor on dominance, nor on trying to overpower others. It is built on alignment. Alignment with truth. Alignment with God. Alignment with a deeper sense of purpose that makes every word she speaks cut through the noise of the world. Before, authority in a voice does not come overnight. It comes through experience, through trials, through scars that have healed but left lessons behind. This woman has been through enough storms to know that her words are not cheap. She has tasted disappointment, betrayal, and even injustice before, but instead of letting bitterness shape her speech, she let wisdom rise. That wisdom became the root of her authority. Evil people cannot stand in the presence of such a voice because lies collapse under the weight of truth. For manipulators get uncomfortable when she speaks because their carefully crafted webs of deceit unravel in a moment. The authority in her voice is also spiritual. For it's not something you can rehearse or fake. When a woman is protected by God, her words carry a divine backing that others sense. Even if they don't understand it, it's why people who intend harm hesitate when dealing with her. They can plot and whisper behind her back, but face to face, they often go silent. Her voice reminds them of something bigger, something they cannot control, and it unsettles them. Before, authority backed by God cannot be replicated by charm, position, or wealth. It comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. Before, think about the difference between someone who speaks out of insecurity and someone who speaks out of confidence. Insecurity makes the voice shaky, eager for approval, easily swayed. Confidence rooted in God makes the voice steady, calm, and firm even in the middle of pressure. For that steadiness is what draws attention. That firmness is what makes evil hesitate. When she speaks, she is not trying to prove herself. She already knows her worth. For that alone silences many who would seek to tear her down. Another part of her authority comes from integrity. For words are powerful when they are consistent with actions. This woman doesn't just talk, she lives what she says. And because she lives it, her words have weight. People have seen her faith, her resilience, her consistency over time. They've seen her stand tall when others broke. For they've seen her choose honesty when deception was easier. So when she speaks, even her critics know she is not empty. For authority grows when there is no gap between what you say and who you are. Her voice carries authority because she uses it wisely. Before, she doesn't waste words on gossip or pettiness. She doesn't speak to prove she is right in every conversation. She knows when to speak and when to stay silent. And when she does open her mouth, the timing itself gives power to her words. Before, people listen more intently when someone who doesn't speak often decides to speak at all. Evil people cannot manipulate this kind of restraint because she cannot be baited into useless battles. She saves her voice for truth, for direction, for encouragement, and for correction when needed. Ultimately, before, her authority comes from the fact that her voice is not her own. It's an echo of the one who protects her. She may be the vessel, but the strength, the clarity before, and the impact come from above. And that is why her words carry weight beyond her own capacity. Evil people may try to challenge her but they cannot overpower her voice because silencing her would mean silencing the truth she carries. That is impossible. Her voice is more than communication. Before, it is a weapon against darkness, a shield against lies, and a beacon for those who need direction. That is why her voice carries authority. And that is why evil people cannot prevail against it. Or her life is proof of divine protection because time and time again she has walked through fire without being burned. The storms come, but they never drown her. For the weapons form, but they never prosper. To the outside world, it may look like resilience, strength, or sheer willpower. But those who look deeper understand it is something greater. It is the hand of God surrounding her, shielding her, covering her when darkness tries to close in. Evil people plot, they whisper, they scheme, but nothing they set against her finds success. Or every trap that is dug for her becomes the very pit where her enemies fall. Every curse spoken against her turns into fuel for her growth. For her life is not a story of coincidence. It is a testimony of divine protection. You can see it in the way she survives things that should have destroyed her. Before, others went through less and gave up, but she keeps moving forward with a grace that confuses her critics. She faces battles, yes, but she never fights them alone. Before, she has moments of weakness, but in those moments, strength from above lifts her back to her feet. There is something untouchable about her journey. 4, a constant reminder that her path is not written by people. It is directed by God. Evil tries to push her down, but every push only raises her higher. 4, every betrayal becomes a lesson. Every heartbreak becomes a stepping stone. What should have broken her instead builds her. That is what divine protection looks like in real life. It transforms pain into purpose and setbacks into comebacks. Her enemies often cannot understand why she keeps rising. They see her knocked down and they think this time she will stay there. Yet every single time, or she comes back stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable. This is not because she avoids struggle, but because struggle cannot conquer someone protected by God. For even when she walks through seasons of silence or delay, when doors seem closed and opportunities vanish, it is not rejection, it is redirection. Later, she realizes those closed doors saved her from walking into destruction. Those delays were shields against hidden dangers. For divine protection does not always look like a miracle. It often looks like wisdom disguised as timing. Before, and while evil people may think they are getting away with their actions, her life proves otherwise, one by one. 4, those who attempt to harm her fall by the very weapons they forge. They expose themselves without her lifting a hand. For she does not need to fight for revenge because her victories are her defense. The peace she carries becomes louder than any attack. The favor that follows her speaks louder than any slander. Her life itself becomes a warning to those who would try to cross her. You cannot touch what God protects. Before, in the end, her story inspires others. People watch and begin to realize that true safety, true covering comes not from wealth, status, or power, but from God. 4, she becomes living evidence that divine protection is real. It cannot be bought, it cannot be faked, and it cannot be broken. 4, it surrounds her like an invisible armor, ensuring that evil never has the final say. Her scars tell stories. 4, but they are not stories of defeat. They are stories of survival. And every time she stands tall, she reminds the world that when God is your protector, for no enemy is ever strong enough to bring you down.